Welcome to the SQN Top 10 ranking. For the first time you join in the program, please subscribe to the channel, like, share and comment your opinion with everyone. Today, join us to learn about the top 10 happiest countries in the world. Hope you will enjoy. Now, let's get started. Finland. Finland is a Nordic country in northern Europe. It borders Sweden to the northwest, Norway to the north, and Russia to the east. With the Gulf of Bothnia to the west and the Gulf of Finland to the south, opposite Estonia. Finland covers an area of 338,145 square kilometers, 130,559 square miles. Helsinki is the capital and largest city. The vast majority of the population are ethnic Finns. Finnish and Swedish are the official languages, with Swedish being the native language of 5.1% of the population. Finland's climate varies from humid continental in the south to boreal in the north. The land cover is predominantly boreal forest biome, with more than 180,000 recorded lakes. The secret to Finland's happiness lies in the fact that people here have the habit of living honestly with their emotions, balancing work and connecting with nature. In addition, Finland's social welfare system is also of high quality, ensuring people's living standards. According to experts, most of the reason comes from the fact that Finland always aims to reduce stress for people. Life, such as largely free education, abundant vacation days, guaranteed healthcare coverage, and a small population. However, happiness also comes from the habits and beliefs of the Finns. In comparison to the US, when answering the question, "How are you?" instead of saying, "Fine," Finns may say, "It's not okay," or, "I don't feel well at all." Emotional honesty contributes to the general happiness of Finns. By restraining suppressing emotions is not good. Some studies suggest that suppressing emotions can also cause loss of social connection, and this also leads to the risk of reducing life expectancy. Finns are hardworking, but at the same time their working hours are also very reasonable. They have time to relax, take care of themselves, and do other activities outside of work. People here also do not have to go to work far, increasing their free time they have in a day. Nature plays an important role in the lives and well-being of many Finnish people. Here, there is a people's rights rule, allowing people to use it almost free of charge all forest, lake and shoreline areas for activities such as camping, berry picking, mushroom picking, swimming, hiking. Horseback riding and skiing are free in public spaces. According to some studies show that nature actually reduces stress. When we are less stressed, we are happier. Learning new things is said to be very good for our mental health. Finland has a large number of associations where people can come together to pursue hobbies ranging from yoga to pottery. Learning makes people feel like they have made the most of their days in a meaningful, useful way, which makes them happier. Some studies show that the level of trust between individuals in Finland is very high. Since this is a small country, people tend to build networks of relationships to create strength. Escaping loneliness is one of the most important things when it comes to feeling satisfied, and close relationships with others are necessary in order to have a fulfilling life. In Finland, happiness is not necessarily a very intense emotion, but more like a feeling of calm, peacefulness. Instead of looking for excitement, Finns give us suggestions about things that make us feel satisfied: the taste of a good cup of coffee, the feeling of security in a sturdy car, and we will try to keep those emotions all day long. That is happiness. In particular, external factors also affect happiness. Do not put too much emphasis on each individual's responsibility. Forcing life you have to be happy. Force yourself to do things that are supposed to bring happiness. Denmark. Denmark is a Nordic country in the south-central portion of Northern Europe. It is the metropolitan part of and the most populous constituent of the Kingdom of Denmark, a constitutionally unitary state that includes the autonomous territories of the Faroe Islands and Greenland in the North Atlantic Ocean. Metropolitan Denmark is the southernmost of the Scandinavian countries. Lying southwest and south of Sweden, south of Norway, and north of Germany, with which it shares a short border, Denmark's only land border. As of 2013, the Kingdom of Denmark, including the Faroe Islands and Greenland, had a total of 1,419 islands greater than 100 square meters, 1,100 square feet, in area. 443 of these have been named and 78 are inhabited. The country where the hygge lifestyle, in Danish, roughly translated as warmth from the heart and happiness from the simple things in life, is proof that people paying high taxes does not mean unhappy. Denmark is the country with the highest personal income tax in Europe, nearly 56%. But thanks to that, the citizens of this country are taken care of by a comprehensive social welfare system. The Danes do not consider themselves the happiest people, but are very proud of the fact that in their language there is the word hygge. The first happiness museum, like museum, in Denmark was officially opened in the capital Copenhagen recently. According to Mr. Make Viking, the initiator of the establishment of this museum, is also the director of the institute. Studying happiness in Denmark. When visiting the museum, visitors will learn more about the history of happiness, the geographical map of happiness, research works on happiness, and possibly become happier. Objectively speaking, Scandinavian countries have many favorable conditions for people to have a comfortable life, such as no war, fertile land, marine natural resources, and maple forests. Rich and less prone to natural disasters. Of course, happiness is only a very relative concept, causing Danes to still complain about life, such as tax rates of all kinds being too high, and the most expensive cost of living. In the European Union, EU, the quality of public services is not worth the taxes paid. On March 8, women still protested for equal rights, even though the current prime minister is a woman. In short, in the eyes of the Danes, this society has all the same problems as other places. In return, the Danes seem to know how to live happily. It could be reading a favorite book next to a warm fireplace or under the bright summer sunshine, is having an intimate meal with family, relatives, friends, or just sitting and chatting over a cup of hot coffee. Simple things that make life more comfortable. Another example is to vacation at a motel, own or rent. Because Denmark is a small country, sometimes the main house and the motel are located in the same province. The difference in climate and environment is not significant. But once you come to the motel, your daily worries, concerns about work, current affairs, can be temporarily left behind to spouses, children, and friends have comfortable moments riding bicycles, going to the beach, walking in the forest, enjoying a picnic under the summer sun. In the winter, light the fireplace to roast chestnuts and sip a glass of wine. Glögg sweet wine is hot, fragrant with the scent of cinnamon, anise, raisins, orange peel. Even if it's just a day or two on the weekend, half the time spent cleaning the motel can still be created. The necessary silence in life is always stressful. For Danes, work is important, but it is not everything. They do not create pressure for themselves. There is no way they try to plow, to buy supercars or branded goods and then complain of being stressed because they cannot rest. Or the family is unhappy because they no longer have time for each other. Their lives are generally simple, without the flashiness and luxury like the British or French. Even though the economy is stable and the national reserve is high. In return, the living environment here is peaceful compared to many countries in the world. In Europe, the number of cases of crime and divorce is low compared to the population. There are not many people who are too rich, because taxes are too high, but the number of people who are too poor and homeless are also small. Iceland. Iceland is a Nordic island country between the North Atlantic and Arctic Oceans, on the mid-Atlantic ridge between North America and Europe. It is linked culturally and politically with Europe and is the region's most sparsely populated country. The official language of the country is Icelandic, located on a rift between tectonic plates. Iceland's geologic activity includes geysers and frequent volcanic eruptions. The interior consists of a volcanic plateau characterized by sand and lava fields, mountains, and glaciers. And many glacial rivers flow to the sea through the lowlands. Iceland is warmed by the Gulf Stream and has a temperate climate, despite a latitude just south of the Arctic Circle. Its high latitude and marine influence keep summers chilly, and most of its islands have a polar climate. What makes Icelanders happy? A sense of community. Icelanders have a strong sense of community, and this extends to the immigrant community as well. 10% of Iceland's population is made up of foreigners. But they report the same levels of happiness as the native-born Icelanders. One of the reasons for this closeness is the historical hardship of living in such a remote and extreme climate. The old Icelanders had to rely on one another if they wanted to survive, and this has deeply ingrained a sense of neighborly concern and duty to the vulnerable. Equality and inclusion. A culture of acceptance and quality contributes to the happiness of the Icelandic people. What's more, it is illegal to pay men and women differently for the same job. Just like wealth, happiness is evenly distributed throughout the majority of the population. There is no great divide between the well-being of those with the most and with the least. This equality makes Icelanders some of the most satisfied people in the world. Transparency and justice. The 2008 financial crisis was hard on people all over the world, including the Icelandic people. A significant difference in Iceland was the consequences faced by irresponsible bankers. Instead of bailing out the bankers, the Icelandic government let all the major banks fail. The banks were left to clean up their mess, and the most irresponsible people were arrested and went to trial. This accountability and justice, even for the wealthy, make Iceland a very fair and honest country to live in. Times still get hard, but a transparent response to the problems means that Icelandic people have high levels of trust in their government. Low crime level. Iceland has had less than 40 murders nationwide in the last 20 years. This low level of crime means people feel safe in Iceland, which contributes greatly to happiness levels. Natural beauty. It's hard to be unhappy when you are surrounded by natural beauty. Iceland has some of the most spectacular landscapes in the entire world, and a sporty population who enjoy exploring the great outdoors. The magnificent fjords, glaciers, and volcanoes of Iceland captivate visitors from all around the world. They regularly bathe in the gorgeous hot springs and soak up the incredible scenery of the enormous national parks. A love of literature, as well as being great readers, Icelandic people are also great creators. An incredible 1 in 10 Icelandic people will publish a book in their lifetime. With a book for a best friend, it's no wonder the Icelandic people are so happy. Good health. Health problems are one of the most distressing things a human being can face. In Iceland, people live very long and healthy lives. The Icelandic men have the longest life expectancy in all the world. The women live even longer than the men, though they don't quite make the same record. Quality education. Private education is extremely rare in Iceland. This doesn't mean the education is low quality. On the contrary, Icelandic education is so good that people choose to send their children to state schools, no matter how wealthy they might be. Almost all Icelanders are fluent in English from an early age, and they are all entitled to free higher education. Literacy rates in Iceland are an incredible 99%, and unemployment is extremely low. A responsive government. A few decades ago, Iceland had a serious problem with underage drinking and substance abuse. The government responded to this problem with a massive investment in activities for young people. There are so many after-school clubs and sports that the children never have time to get bored. At the same time, the government created curfew legislation for children. Young people must come home before 10 p.m. in the summer, or midnight in the winter. As a result of these policies, Icelandic teenagers are now some of the cleanest living youths in the world. The number of young people getting drunk or smoking has plummeted, and families have become happier and healthier. Israel. Israel is a country in the southern Levant region of West Asia. It is bordered by Lebanon to the north, Syria to the northeast, Jordan to the east, the Red Sea to the south, Egypt to the southwest, the Mediterranean Sea to the west, and the Palestinian territories, the West Bank along the east and the Gaza Strip along the southwest. Tel Aviv is the country's financial, economic, and technological center. Israel's governmental seat is in its proclaimed capital of Jerusalem. Israeli sovereignty over East Jerusalem is of limited international recognition. The country has a parliamentary system elected by proportional representation. The Prime Minister serves as head of government, and is elected by the Knesset, Israel's unicameral legislature. Israel has one of the biggest economies in the Middle East by nominal GDP. It is one of the richest countries in the Middle East and Asia, and an OECD member since 2010. It has one of the highest standards of living in the Middle East and Asia, and has been ranked as one of the most advanced and technological countries. Israel has a population of nearly 10 million people as of 2023. One would think a country whose citizens face terror regularly and are surrounded by hostile enemies who seek their extermination would be paralyzed by fear and would be debilitated by distress. Instead, despite the daily dangers, Israelis are remarkably happy. Experts say that the rapid recovery after the COVID-19 pandemic, the economy grew by 6.5% and GDP per capita increased by 4.4%, demonstrated Israel's efforts. Economy development has created for the Israeli people a high standard of living and modern science. In addition, Israelis have strong social connections and long life expectancy. Israelis live in communities rich in attachment and sharing. Good social connections are the key to Israeli happiness. Netherlands. The Netherlands is a country located in northwestern Europe with overseas territories in the Caribbean. It is the largest of the 4 constituent countries of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. The Netherlands consists of 12 provinces. It borders Germany to the east and Belgium to the south. With a North Sea coastline to the north and west, it shares maritime borders with the United Kingdom, Germany, and Belgium. The official language is Dutch, with West Frisian as a secondary official language in the province of Friesland. Dutch, English, and Papiamento are official in the Caribbean territories. The Netherlands has been a parliamentary constitutional monarchy with a unitary structure since 1848. The country has a tradition of pillarization, separation of citizens into groups by religion and political beliefs, and a long record of social tolerance, having legalized prostitution and euthanasia, along with maintaining a liberal drug policy. The Netherlands allowed women's suffrage in 1919 and was the first country to legalize same-sex marriage in 2001. Being a developed country, the Netherlands is a founding member of the European Union, Eurozone, G10, NATO, OECD, and WTO, as well as a part of the Schengen area and the trilateral Benelux Union. It hosts intergovernmental organizations and international courts, many of which are in The Hague. The Netherlands rank 5th with a score of 7,403, the same as last year. Besides its endless tulip fields, the country's economy has recently been praised for its strong resilience after the COVID-19 pandemic compared to European Union member countries, according to the latest report of the International Monetary Fund. Affordable higher education costs, good social benefits, great job market, great sense of community among citizens. All of this brings a sense of well-being in Dutch society. The Dutch tend to pursue balance. They live closely with nature, are stable and care about sustainable values. Children in the Netherlands have the happiest lives. Sweden. Sweden is a Nordic country located on the Scandinavian peninsula in northern Europe. It borders Norway to the west and north, Finland to the east, and is connected to Denmark in the southwest by a bridge tunnel across the Øresund. At 450,295 square kilometers, 173,860 square miles, Sweden is the largest Nordic country and the 5th largest country in Europe. The capital and largest city is Stockholm. Nature in Sweden is dominated by forests and many lakes, including some of the largest in Europe. Many long rivers run from the Skandies Range, primarily emptying into the northern tributaries of the Baltic Sea. It has an extensive coastline and most of the population lives near a major body of water. The climate of Sweden is diverse due to the length of the country. Sweden is a highly developed country. Ranked 5th in the Human Development Index. It is a constitutional monarchy and a parliamentary democracy, with legislative power vested in the 349-member unicameral Riksdag. It is a unitary state, divided into 21 counties and 290 municipalities. Sweden maintains a Nordic social welfare system that provides universal healthcare and tertiary education for its citizens. It has the world's 14th highest GDP per capita and ranks very highly in quality of life, health, education, protection of civil liberties, economic competitiveness, income equality, gender equality and prosperity. Sweden joined the European Union on 1 January 1995. It is also a member of the United Nations, NATO, the Nordic Council, the Schengen Area, the Council of Europe, the World Trade Organization and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. Air and environmental pollution in Sweden is the second lowest after Finland, leading to a higher average life expectancy, according to data from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. High employment rates and gender equality, more than 80%, also lead to higher life satisfaction in Sweden. Sweden not only has a clean natural environment, but also a healthy living environment. Strong, positive with high quality of life. Norway. Norway is a Nordic country in northern Europe, situated on the Scandinavian peninsula. The remote Arctic island of January Mayen and the archipelago of Svalbard also form part of Norway. Bouvet Island, located in the sub-Antarctic, is a dependency. Norway also claims the Antarctic territories of Peter I Island and Queen Maud Land. The capital and largest city in Norway is Oslo. Norway has a total area of 385,207 square kilometers, 148,729 square miles. The country shares a long eastern border with Sweden. It is bordered by Finland and Russia to the northeast and the Skagerrak Strait to the south. Norway has an extensive coastline facing the North Atlantic Ocean and the Barents Sea. As a unitary state with a constitutional monarchy, Norway divides state power between the parliament, the cabinet, and the Supreme Court, as determined by the 1814 Constitution. The Unified Kingdom of Norway was established in 872 as a merger of petty kingdoms and has existed continuously for 1151 to 1152 years. Norway has both administrative and political subdivisions on two levels: counties and municipalities. The Sami people have a certain amount of self-determination and influence over traditional territories through the Sami Parliament and the Finnmark Act. Norway maintains close ties with the European Union and the United States. Norway is a founding member of the United Nations, NATO, the European Free Trade Association, the Council of Europe, the Antarctic Treaty, and the Nordic Council. A member of the European Economic Area, the WTO, and the OECD, and a part of the Schengen area. The Norwegian dialects share mutual intelligibility with Danish and Swedish. The Norwegian state has large ownership positions in key industrial sectors, having extensive reserves of petroleum, natural gas, minerals, lumber, seafood, and freshwater. The petroleum industry accounts for around a quarter of the country's gross domestic product, GDP, on a per capita basis. Norway is the world's largest producer of oil and natural gas outside of the Middle East. The country has the fourth and eighth highest per capita income in the world on the World Bank's and IMF's list, respectively. It has the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, with a value of $1.3 trillion United States dollars. It's easy to see why Norwegians consider themselves a happy nation. With tuition-free education, high income rates, low levels of corruption and robust social support networks, Norway has always in the ranking of the 10 happiest countries in the world, topped the ranking in 2017. With countless spectacular natural attractions such as fjords, mountains, lush forests, lakes, and the northern lights are seen so often, Norwegians do not need to travel to any country to admire it. Norwegians have access to excellent public services such as free education, medical support and accommodation. Norway's social welfare system is run to ensure that all of the country's residents can benefit from public care. Switzerland. Switzerland is a landlocked country located in west-central Europe. It is bordered by Italy to the south, France to the west, Germany to the north and Austria and Liechtenstein to the east. Switzerland is geographically divided among the Swiss Plateau, the Alps and the Jura. The Alps occupy the greater part of the territory, whereas most of the country's population of 9 million are concentrated on the plateau, which hosts its largest cities and economic centers, including Zurich, Geneva, and Basel. Switzerland is the birthplace of the Red Cross and hosts the headquarters or offices of most major international institutions, including the WTO, the WHO, the ILO, FIFA, and the UN. It is a founding member of the European Free Trade Association, EFTA, but not part of the European Union, EU. The European Economic Area, or the Eurozone. However, it participates in the European Single Market and the Schengen area. Switzerland is a federal republic composed of 26 cantons, with federal authorities based in Bern. Switzerland is one of the world's most developed countries, with the highest nominal wealth per adult and the 8th highest gross domestic product, GDP, per capita. Switzerland ranks first in the Human Development Index since 2021 and performs highly also on several international metrics, including economic competitiveness and democratic governance. Cities such as Zurich, Geneva and Basel rank among the highest in terms of quality of life, albeit with some of the highest costs of living. It has 4 main linguistic and cultural regions: German, French, Italian and Romansh. Although most Swiss are German-speaking, national identity is fairly cohesive, being rooted in a common historical background, shared values such as federalism and direct democracy. Switzerland ranks in the top 10 happiest countries in the world thanks to its low crime rate, high GDP per capita and beautiful mountain scenery suitable for year-round recreation. Switzerland is a country according to pursue sustainable values. They focus on developing renewable energy and protecting nature. The Swiss live a sharing and charitable life. They are generous with volunteer activities and charitable contributions. Thanks to this, Switzerland's happiness ranking always maintains its position in the top 10 every year. The Swiss aim for a sustainable life. Luxembourg. Luxembourg is a small landlocked country in Western Europe. It is bordered by Belgium to the west and north, Germany to the east, and France to the south. Its capital and most populous city, Luxembourg, is one of the 4 institutional seats of the European Union, together with Brussels, Frankfurt, and Strasbourg, and the seat of several EU institutions. Notably the Court of Justice of the European Union, the highest judicial authority. Luxembourg's culture, people, and languages are highly intertwined with its French and German neighbors. While Luxembourgish is the only national language of the Luxembourgish people and of the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, French is the only language for legislation, and all 3, Luxembourgish, German and French, are used for administrative matters in the country. With an area of 2,586 square kilometers, 998 square miles, Luxembourg is Europe's 7th smallest country. Luxembourg is a representative democracy headed by a constitutional monarch. Luxembourg is a developed country with an advanced economy and one of the world's highest GDP, PPP, per capita as per IMF and World Bank estimates. The nation's levels of human development and LGBT equality are ranked among the highest in Europe. The historic city including its fortification was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1994 due to The exceptional preservation of its vast fortifications and historic quarters. Luxembourg is a founding member of the European Union, OECD, the United Nations, NATO, and the Benelux. It served on the United Nations Security Council for the first time in 2013 and 2014. Despite being one of the smallest and least populous countries in Europe, after Rhode Island, the country is one of the wealthiest in the world in terms of GDP per capita. Safety, high public trust and cultural diversity all contribute to a sense of well-being for Luxembourgers, half of whom have foreign nationality. Luxembourg has a developed economy and industries diversity. The economy is the foundation for the high standard of living of the people here. In addition, Luxembourg also has a stable and free political regime. Citizens are guaranteed personal freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom to integrate into society. New Zealand. New Zealand is an island country in the southwestern Pacific Ocean. It consists of two main landmasses, the North Island, Te Aika e Maui, and the South Island, Te Waipounamu, and over 700 smaller islands. It is the sixth largest island country by area and lies east of Australia across the Tasman Sea and south of the islands of New Caledonia, Fiji, and Tonga. The country's varied topography and sharp mountain peaks, including the Southern Alps, owe much to tectonic uplift and volcanic eruptions. New Zealand's capital city is Wellington, and its most populous city is Auckland. A developed country, it was the first to introduce a minimum wage, and the first to give women the right to vote. It ranks very highly in international measures of quality of life, human rights, and it has low levels of perceived corruption. It retains visible levels of inequality, having structural disparities between its Maori and European populations. The service sector dominates the national economy, followed by the industrial sector and agriculture. International tourism is also a significant source of revenue. New Zealand is a member of the United Nations, Commonwealth of Nations, ANZUS, UK-USA, OECD, ASEAN +6, Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, the Pacific Community, and the Pacific Islands Forum. It enjoys particularly close relations with the United States and is one of its major non-NATO allies, the United Kingdom, Samoa, Fiji, and Tonga, and with Australia. Nationally, legislative authority is vested in an elected, unicameral parliament, while executive political power is exercised by the government, led by the Prime Minister. New Zealand won 10th place on the list of the world's happiest countries. When the country opened up after COVID-19 in April 2022, a steady stream of visitors helped economic recovery and even in some industries have even surpassed pre-pandemic levels. In addition to high GDP per capita, New Zealanders have access to beautiful landscapes such as beaches, lakes, vineyards. This country also excels in many factors. Welfare factors such as education, healthcare, and community awareness of citizens. New Zealand possesses beautiful natural landscapes with archipelagos, mountains, lakes, and vast grasslands. This contributes to creating a positive and peaceful spirit for the people. New Zealand also has an advanced social policy system, including healthcare, education, and social insurance. Thank you for watching the SQN Top 10 Ranking Program. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like, and share this program for many people to know. See you again in next video. Thank you very much.